Hey, it's Dave Wyman from Bob, Dave, and More. Time for another Football 101. Seahawks with a huge overtime victory over the Niners, 27-24. What a great game. Going into the game, and all week, I talked about how important sacks are, because we talk about hurries and hits and things like that, which are all good, but the sacks are huge. And this is what, leading into this game, the Seahawks had 15 sacks. Their first 15, this is what it netted them. 4 fumbles, 4 punts, 3 field goals, so basically they gave up 9 points on drives where there was a sack. 2 missed field goals and 1 end of game. That was Ziggy Ansah in Arizona. The reason why this doesn't add up to 15 is because the Seahawks got 2 sacks on a drive against Cincinnati where that resulted in a field goal. But let's look at what happened to the Seahawks getting a third of their yearly total in one night against the 49ers on Monday Night Football. And it resulted in 2 field goals. So pretty good considering that was such a high-powered offense. 1 turnover on downs, 1 offensive touchdown that led to one of the sacks on one of those drives led to a Chris Carson touchdown. And then, of course, the big defensive touchdown. So Jadeveon Clowney picking up a fumble and scoring. But here's what the effect of all of those other things had on Jimmy Garoppolo. He was 52%. Going into this game, he was about 71% completion percentage. So he got hit 10 times, and that always helps. And you could see Garoppolo just, starting to throw him in the dirt, sail him a little bit. He wasn't nearly as accurate. But let's take a look at this big defensive touchdown. And over here on this side, it was the second quarter 2:57, and it's 10-zip at this point. So Seahawks need a big play. The guy that really made this happen, this sack, was Poona Ford. Poona Ford, and I'll just kind of show you what Jarran Reed, who gets the sack, strip sack, knocks the ball out. He does a little hesitation move and then knifes inside. But Poona moved so fast, so far, he got this offensive lineman right here, the center, to turn sideways. So, what you want to do if you're offensive line and you see a stunt like that, you want to stay square to the line of scrimmage and just pass it off and wait for the next guy to come back in. Real simple, right? But Poona went so fast, he went so hard sideways that the center gets turned. He gets his body like that. And then Reed puts a great move on this guy too, and he gets turned. So basically both these guys' shoulders were pointing the wrong way. And Jarran Reed just splits that double team right there, gets the sack, and of course, Jadeveon Clowney picks it up and scores a touchdown. So yeah, it was very interesting to watch this happen, and the way they ran it, they're playing so much more together now. Another great example, with about 2 minutes left in the second quarter, actually it was the third quarter, they had a pass play where the Seahawks have been getting gashed in about this range right here, about 15 to 20 yards downfield in front of the deep droppers and behind the linebackers. Well, KJ Wright got such a great drop on this. He ended up dropping, and this was a play where they ran 2 seam routes. So, and I'm sure Garoppolo was looking all week at film that the Seahawks can be hit in that range about 20 yards downfield. So they run here and here, but KJ turns and gets like a 20-yard drop, and he gets right in front of the intended receiver, which was Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback. What that does is, instead of throwing just a straight shot, and that's what we saw a couple of times against Tampa Bay, Jimmy Garoppolo had to put some arc on it. And when you put arc on it, it went over just over the tip of KJ's outstretched hand. But that arc, that little bit of time, extra time, allows the safety to get there. And Quandre Diggs on this one, he came up and just hammered Juszczyk. And Juszczyk actually went out of the game, looked like he was holding his ribs. But, these guys working together. And then that also helps the pass rush later on. When you're covering guys, I saw a couple of times where Garoppolo was going to throw that quick, tight pass that's on a string, and he couldn't because these guys did such a better job of dropping underneath. So this team just playing together, it almost makes you wish they weren't on a bye week because they're playing with so much momentum right now. But this team has the talent, obviously, to hang with anybody, and they beat the last undefeated team in the NFL. So I'm expecting good things for the Seahawks in the second half of the season.